You're listening to the Eat 'em Up Pod, your home for Detroit Tigers opinions, discussion, nonsense, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Jordan Hall and Alex Urban.
Welcome to Eat 'em Up. I'm Jordan Hall, joined as always by the Tailgate King of Detroit. It's Alex Urban. Alex, how you hanging in there, buddy? It's been a couple days.
Jordan, we have been through the gauntlet as Tigers fans just in the last week alone. So my head is spinning. It continues to spin. We're recording this evening when the Tigers are getting mollywopped by my least favorite team in the entire league, the Boston Red Sox. Things are unraveling, but I could not be
I didn't even
happy
think
to be
about
talking.
that part. Yeah, that's rough for you.
Yeah, salt in the wound, but still quite pleased to be talking baseball with you, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, and we're not only talking baseball amongst ourselves. We welcomed a special guest this week.
Joe Rampe, man, that was a great conversation. Joe's such a nice guy and truly knowledgeable. So you guys stick around for the middle part of this episode. We had special guest Joe Rampe from Tigers Intelligence Report. Check him out on the socials, Joe_Rampe, R-A-M-P-E. And that was just a great conversation on, digging into some of the metrics, getting into some of the minor league stuff. But Joe, thank you very much for taking the time this evening, and you guys will hear that soon.
Are you just ready to talk some ball, Alex?
Let's talk ball, Jordan.
All right, so let's just jump right into the main story, which, of course, is the return and then subsequent departure of one Mr. Zach Short.
We barely knew you again, Zach Short. You know what is I do have to say from the human element. I know he did an interview. I couldn't remember who it was this week. Maybe it was Petzold, but he was talking about the challenges of largely being a journeyman major leaguer for him and his family. I mean, that guy has been around. He's been with the Tigers. He's been with Boston. He was with Houston. He was with Atlanta. He's back with the Tigers for all of 48 hours and half a cup of coffee. That has to be a little bit of a gauntlet, both physically, mentally, and financially. I mean, I know these guys make quite a bit of money, but not knowing where you're going to be on even a night in, night out basis. But sorry, I know you were just trying to make a joke. not a Zach Short podcast.
I think that's super interesting. It's definitely not a Zach Short podcast. But yeah, no, I don't know. We get so these guys are baseball machines and all that kind of stuff, but they aren't. Those are actual humans who, Zach Short makes a lot of money compared to normal people, but not compared to several of the players on this roster. And that is an interesting financial situation. But as you mentioned, not a Zach Short podcast, especially now that he's no longer on the active roster. The actual main story, and I won't lie to you, this one hit me pretty hard, was Skubal, of course, hitting the IL with the loose bodies in his elbow, I believe. So we're recording this on Tuesday, May 5th, that he had surgery today. Did I read that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes. Time frame is unknown. Sounds like it could be 6 weeks to 6 months. You kind of ballparked in your math 2 to 3 months when we were just talking about this. I hope that you're right.
Yeah, so let's say it is a 3-month span. That's roughly 12 to 16 starts.
It's not great. I mean, could be more, but that's not great.
Not great at all. I really wanted to say he can have my loose bodies, but I think that is actually the problem. So he can have my elbow that hopefully doesn't have loose bodies. No, that was certainly. I'm going to go as far to say the one thing that they couldn't have happened this year, and I know that we're going to get into it, but that is a blow, and certainly not willing to say that the season is over by any means. But certainly when you lose the best player on your team, it hurts you quite a bit. I did see something coming. I mean, I think we all know and read some of the tea leaves. He's been shaking that arm quite a bit after some of these starts. He said everything was fine, and then immediately you see the report that there's the scope and that he is getting put on the IL for surgery. It's not Tommy John, certainly, which is a really good thing. He will be back this season. I'm pretty confident in saying that we are going to see him. We have yet to see him make his last start in a Tigers uniform, which I know a lot of people were worried about. But when exactly that is, nobody knows.
Yeah, definitely. That honestly, selfishly, that was the first thing that went through my mind. Is have we seen him in the Tigers uniform for the last time? Which would be not a thought I'm willing to entertain at the moment. It doesn't sound like it necessarily has to be. I remember seeing him actively like shaking it out on, what was it, last Wednesday? I think it was his last start, and we recorded a show the next day, and I didn't even consider mentioning it because it had been so downplayed. I will say, like, I don't know. I like to think of myself as having a relatively rich life. Like, the Tigers don't mostly control like my how my days go and all that kind of stuff. That one, I had big emotions when I read that. Like, that was more so than like a big loss or whatever. Like, someone that we largely see as infallible, the Superman, the guy that, like, when all else breaks down, you throw Skubal out there, for him to be the one that gets hurt, like, I don't know, it kind of low key like shakes my worldview. I feel like that's like massively overstating it, but it kind of did hit me like that. Like, Superman took one in the chest or in the loose bodies.
It was devastating, Jordan. And I think for me, and how silly, I mean, they're professional athletes. Of course, injuries could strike at any moment. But as much as we talked all offseason about, did they trade this guy? Did they not trade this guy? Did they extend this guy? I was not foreseeing a major arm injury during the season. I mean, you could say that there could be a Tommy John still coming down the line, and you don't want to give him a $400 million contract because pitchers are so fickle in terms of their health. But this was not on my bingo card that his elbow was going to turn into a maraca. Not at all.
Yeah, for real. So you take that, and then the injury to Will Vest, which is Joe mentions this in the talk later, an absolutely massive injury, and we still don't have any idea. Like, forearm inflammation is not good. It was kind of a double punch that kind of came just boom boom. So, Alex, I pose to you the question: is all lost? Like, should we just pack it up? Is all lost here?
No, Jordan. Not all is not lost. And I'm going to say this to you, and I'm going to say this to the listeners. What if it all works out?
What if it does?
We've talked all offseason and all season about how bad this division is. He is a player on this team that only pitches and plays once every fifth day, right? Like, this isn't like Kevin McGonigal is out for the season and Riley Green went down and Spencer Torkelson got lost in the woods in Manitoba or something, right? Like, this isn't like the offensive is just greater. This is a huge loss, but I think that they can sustain the loss, Jordan. And I think if they can create half of the wins in that span, that 16 starts in the aggregate, which I don't think is like the most impossible thing in the world, he can come back and they can still be a first place club in this division. And, Jordan, if he comes back like we're hoping, that arm is going to be fresh for the second half of the season and into the playoffs. So, as bad as this is, I don't think it's essentially doom and gloom so that the season's over. It's going to be more challenging than not at this point, but I'm also encouraged by the rest of the team hopefully being able to step up. Now, what really disappointed me tonight is I was like, okay, this is a night where Framber Valdez, who we have pretty much already anointed as the ace post-Tarik Skubal life, completely imploded. But tonight was a night where I was looking forward to him kind of righting the ship and being like, oh, yeah, you have another really good lefty on this staff that can kind of step up, take the ball every fifth, eighth, and fill that role until Skubal comes back. But all of that said, Jordan, I am still a big believer in this club for this season, despite this injury.
Yeah,
but I pose the same question to you.
Before I answer, Framber is basically just all of us tonight. Like, it didn't go his way, just hit somebody. Like, I don't know. I didn't blame him. It just felt like a night somebody needed to get hit. But anyway, I completely agree. I think that, last week I so brilliantly stated that I think that this division is a walk in the park, that we need to just manage our way towards the playoffs. I think that dynamic is probably gone. That being said, I might still be more concerned about the bullpen than I am about the starting rotation. So you obviously have Framber, Cater Montero cruising right now. Obviously, Framber was bad tonight, but he's been very good. Montero, Jack, he's clearly not going anywhere from the rotation because there are no choices. I would assume Casey will be back, probably sometime before June. Verlander's in the mix. Troy Melton still, there will be plenty of guys to piece together a rotation between now and, I don't know, let's call it July 15th, July 30th. I don't know, whenever Skubal's back. All you got to do is stay afloat. That is all they have to do. They are currently, this was before the debacle tonight, tied atop the division and had the only positive run differential in the division, second in the AL. The division is so bad. You just need to not shoot yourself in the foot repeatedly, like they did tonight. They need to do that less, and as long as they do that slightly less than Cleveland or Kansas City or, dare I say, the White Sox, I think they're going to be in it. I just don't think that this sinks it like people immediately jump to.
No, I'm with you, Jordan. And I mentioned last week I am not a huge believer of the strength of schedule game, and I'm not, but they have played quite a few really good National League teams in the early part of the season, and they have not largely gotten to play the divisional games yet. I know we've seen Kansas City and Minnesota already, but there's a lot of games left to be played against Cleveland, obviously, and those games are going to be wildly important. The White Sox, more against Kansas City, more against Minnesota. So, the boys are going to have to go out and earn it, but I think this is a team that has the offense that can get it by, and just as you mentioned, there's reinforcements on the way. There's some really good pitchers on this staff that aren't named Tarik Skubal, and if they can somehow get the bullpen figured out, and they can tread water and stay afloat, as you mentioned, they'll be in a fine position to make a run at the end of this season. So that is the name of the game. They cannot have more games like this evening. I tweeted it out from the show account tonight. They've played some really sloppy baseball in the early part of the season. They need to stop giving away games by botching a routine play and then, 3-run homer immediately following, something like that.
Yeah.
But if they can play good, clean baseball, they're going to still win a lot of games, despite the Tarik Skubal injury.
Absolutely true. This is not the point. And the fact that we've now played the Red Sox twice before we played the White Sox at all just blows my mind. What are we doing here? It's crazy.
Yeah, the schedule makers are so... I don't know how it works, and if it's completely random, done by a computer. I don't know, but I think a lot of divisional games are shoehorned in the end of the year. If you can remember, the Tigers played Cleveland 3 times in 5 series at the end of last year. And it was just
I blacked
bananas.
all of that out completely. That
I don't
never
blame
happened.
you at all. I don't blame you at all. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly odd. To be before mid-May and we're completely done with Boston, which I'm fine with, is very strange to say the least. And to have so many National League teams played this early in the season, a lot of them back to back to back. It is odd for sure.
It is odd. And as we mention seemingly every week on the show, not a betting podcast, but if you want to find something to take solace in, the Tigers are still shorter than even to make the playoffs and still the favorite to win the AL Central. Vegas doesn't give away money. Not obviously they're not the be all end all, but Vegas doesn't give away money.
They don't call it the AL Comedy Central for nothing, Jordan.
Honestly, it's kind of just I'm trying to warp your wordplay. Just the AL is kind of comedy at this point. There just aren't very many good teams in the AL. I'm sure Buster Olney is beside himself about that.
I mean, that's a good point, Jordan. We talk so much about the division, but if they can stay afloat and cling on to a wild card spot or just be a couple games back when you get some of these guys back, they're going to be in a really good position. I mean, let's think if by mid-July Tarik Skubal is back and he's just chucking it. He's motivated. He is going to earn every cent of that next contract, and he's out to prove it. You've got Justin Verlander throwing good ball, Casey Mize throwing good ball. You've got Troy Melton back, and you got Jackson Jobe on the doorstep. Mind you, Bo Brisky is starting a rehab assignment soon. A lot of these other guys that we have been thinking could be good pieces are starting to make their way back. Everything could work out. They just have to hold serve as I think Joe said beautifully in our interview with him, until that time comes.
Yeah, just play 500 ball. I win as many series as you lose, and we'll be just dandy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yep. Oh, God.
Nope.
I was going to say, let's zoom through. We recorded last Thursday, I believe, so it was just the weekend series with Texas since last time we recorded. Gave up the Friday night game. I don't know. I found it encouraging that we got to Mackenzie Gore a little bit. He
yes.
a nice young lefty with good stuff. I feel like that's not necessarily our MO, but we were able to get to him. Obviously not enough to take him down. And 5 1/3 innings of relief, giving up 1 run on 4 hits. The 1 run, of course, was the run that lost it for us. But that being said, anytime this bullpen is throwing up zeros, I feel like it's worth noting.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you got to give credit where credit is due, except to our friend Birch Tree Smith, who coughed it up on back-to-back doubles in the 8th.
Yeah. Moving ahead to Saturday, I feel like we talk about him every week, and the noises are getting a little bit louder. Cater Montero looked acely. I believe he had a standing ovation coming off the mound, or at least that's kind of what it looked like from TV. 1 run on 5 hits over 7 2/3. Like, strikeout numbers are still a little low, but every time he takes the ball, he's doing it right now. It isn't always pretty, but like the job gets done, and that is so needed right now.
You couldn't be more right, Jordan. I mean, if they ever needed a guy to step up and kind of fill a role in this rotation amid all these injuries, Cater Montero is all that guy and more. He has just been tremendous in his recent starts. As I understand it, without having the numbers in front of me, he's giving up a lot of hard contact, so maybe the numbers, the underlying numbers could signal that he might be coming back down to earth a little bit, but the numbers are the numbers right now, right? Like, you can't take anything away from what he's doing, and in my opinion, Jordan, he is pitching his way to be a permanent rotation fixture, especially once they get some of these guys back, if Jack Flaherty can't figure it out. I mean, how could you... 1, send him down, or 2, put him in the bullpen with the way that he's chucking right now?
Yeah, I mean, you can't. That would be a really tough look for the concept of earning your place, and I just don't think that AJ and Feder would let that fly. We're due unreasonable good luck to somebody. Like, there has been so much bad luck, especially over the last 3 or 4 days, that, like, I think we're due Cater Montero continuing to get hard contact outs. We're due that, and I'm just going to claim it for us. But yeah, I don't think that there is any world in which he goes anywhere anytime soon. And I don't know. He left camp. I say that like it was his choice. He was asked to leave camp early. This was not a man that broke camp with the team. He did everything he needed to do to get himself ready. Kind of proved what Scotty and AJ were trying to do in sending him out. I mean, this is kind of they played their hand with him brilliantly, and unfortunately, it is really needed.
Yes, and going back to that standing ovation, Jordan, like, I cannot be more happy for that kid. He was largely, I don't want to say career minor leaguer, because obviously he's a young guy, but like, he was never a highly heralded prospect. And he comes up here, he's had mixed results, he's been up and down a ton, and then for him to just absolutely get that ovation from the crowd, you know it had to feel good. How can you not be romantic about baseball? So Cater Montero, go get it, kid. That was beautiful to see.
Definitely. Sunday, Tigers won on Sunday Night Baseball with Benetti. How do you feel about the dynamic with the one guy in the booth from each team?
It's different. I like it. I like having the different perspective. This is something that I've actually been curious about for a number of years, if they could do it. Because you like to hear from the other side, like, what their players specialize in or are really good at some certain moment. And I think it gives you a little bit of a scouting report that we don't get on the home broadcast. I think we have one of the best broadcasting teams, both radio and TV, in the sport. But it's really nice to hear from some, other voices and kind of learn about players as you're kind of doing some scouting for later series. So I'm into it. It can be a little awkward at times, though, just because there's not the familiarity between the two. But what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I like it too. I thought Andy and the guy from, who were they? Was that the Cardinals? The first time, I feel like they kind of vibed a little bit better than Peaches and the guy on Sunday. But yeah, I think it's just interesting, especially like, I don't know that I want to listen to it for 162 games, but like
Right.
a special like every so often on Sunday night. I think again this Sunday with the Royals. I don't know. I'm into it. I like just hearing a little bit of different perspectives.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Jack Leiter looked awesome, Jordan, until he
looked
didn't.
so
but
good.
He looked. I was not expecting that, and obviously the end result is what the Tigers wanted. But man, he looked nasty.
Yeah, I like you said, I wasn't expecting that, but that stuff was filthy. That was about as impressed as I've been by any starter all season long. The Riley walk and then the torque bomb kind of came out of nowhere, and then he a little bit went full Flaherty. I mean, not really. He didn't go full Flaherty. He went a little Flaherty. Add another in the sixth, and then 4 more in the seventh. I will say, and I texted you about this at the time, and file this one under how can you not be romantic about baseball. But Jack Leiter was pick 1, 2 in the draft that Jackson Jobe went third, and he was out-dueled by, and this is in order, a waiver claim, a minor league free agent, a 7th-round pick, a guy we traded for cash, a 6th-round pick, and a non-roster invitee. Baseball is just the best. Like, this is the absolute pinnacle of talent in one end, and guys just trying to grind by, and sometimes they're the ones that get it done. And I think that's cool, and I don't know. I obviously don't follow the other sports as closely, but it feels to me like baseball is the best example of something like that being able to happen.
Oh, absolutely. And it's. I love that you pulled this up because it's so true, Jordan. I mean, this guy was absolutely nails, and he went up there against essentially the Goonies, right? No disrespect to our guys, but yeah, that was a cast of characters that didn't have the pedigree. Let's put it that way. And the Tigers came out on top.
Now, Alex, is it a good thing that our bullpen is manned by a waiver claim, a minor league free agent, a 7th-round pick, a guy we traded for cash, a 6th-round pick, and a non-roster invitee? Does that bode well?
Say anecdotally and literally no, Jordan. Decidedly no. I will say probably not a recipe for success long term outside of this conversation.
But it worked once.
Yes.
And then let's move forward to Monday, the day the world ended. I was really impressed. We waited out a really nice performance by Peyton Tolley, who also has very nice stuff. Took an opportunistic lead in the 6th, and that was the kind of performance that, like, this is how a good veteran team rises above the circumstances and gets it done. And then it all went to crap. I mean, that's the long and the short of it. Your boy Ricky was not the nasty. I mean, I also like Ricky. I'm not trying to pin that on you. But we talked about this a little bit with Joe. But Ty Madden pulled one straight out of his tuchus. Easily his best performance of his Tigers career.
That was incredible. And that was the first major league innings he's had since, I believe, pitching chaos in September of 2024. I mean, he's battled back, and he did not have good numbers in Toledo. The velocity's been down, but 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, no runs, 7 Ks, Jordan. I thought he looked electric, if I can go that far as to say, but he looked outstanding. And it was great to see. I mean, they really needed it. That's what makes the loss even more frustrating, is because that is a game where they scratched and clawed and did everything right, and then, you know, just not having somebody dependable to turn to in the bullpen. Vanasco is obviously going to get more opportunities, but that was a tough loss to swallow, especially because they had a little bit more of that comeback and to only lose on 1 run. And I can't stand Aroldis Chapman, Jordan. Can't stand him.
Definitely. Everything about him has passed. The way he is on the mound, everything. Hate it.
Yeah. He and Emmanuel Clase, 2 of my more annoying pitchers, but we will not see the latter probably ever again.
And hopefully, let's see what after tomorrow. Hopefully, we won't see Aroldis either. So, about done with that dude.
Very true. Jordan, we want to kick it over to our interview with Joe Rampe.
Yeah, let's do it. This was a really good one. Really like Joe, and just grateful that he would spend some time with us this Tuesday evening. We now welcome on favorite of the show. This is somebody that we both have been following on Twitter for a long time and are happy to have him finally on the show with us. It's Joe Rampe. You can find him at Joe_Rampe on Twitter, and of the Tigers Intelligence Report on Substack with the absolute legend, Lynn Henning. Joe, thanks, first of all, for being with us. And just tell us a little bit about yourself and like how you became a Tigers fan.
Yeah, hey, thanks for that intro, and I'm a big fan of you guys' everything that you guys do, so thank you so much for having me on. I got into the Tigers when I was like 3 or 4 years old. I was telling you guys that I'm from Ohio, so like I said, don't hold that against me, but I've been a big fan of the Tigers for as long as I can remember, and I have a feeling you guys are a little bit younger than me, but we didn't have the internet until I was like maybe like 14 or 15. So I had to rely on, listen to the games on the radio, box scores, stuff like that. But once we got the internet, that was like huge, and that's kind of how I got into. First got introduced to Lynn, who I'm working with at Tigers Intelligence Report. Yeah, just been a big fan of the Tigers for, like I said, as long as I can remember, and just kind of that's basically it.
So, what got you interested in like wanting to devote free time and all that to the content game? Like, it's certainly an undertaking that you're involved in over there.
Yeah, so back, like, right before the pandemic, which feels like, 100 years ago, I started a little Tigers blog online, and I'm sure no one on Earth saw it. And I remember one of the first articles I wrote about was actually Nico Goodrum. So that's how long ago that was. But I eventually kind of linked up with Tigers Minor League Report and started, writing with them. And then when the pandemic happened, things everything got super weird, and I just kind of didn't feel like it was what I wanted to do at the time. So after I wrote with those guys a little bit, I kind of stepped away for a little while, and then about a year ago, I reached back out to them and just said, hey, I'm still a huge fan of you guys' work. If you wouldn't mind, I would love to take another shot writing with you guys. And they let me do that, and I'll always be grateful to them. And I'm a huge fan of their site. And kind of along the way, I got connected with Lynn, and as soon as he was going to be leaving the Detroit News. He's been retired for a while, but it sounded like it was going to start slowing down, and he wanted to start his own thing, and he reached out and asked if I would join him, and it was hard for me to, as much as I love, the Tigers Minor League Report is like one of my favorite websites, not just Tigers related, and everything that they do on Twitter. So it's such a good resource for Tigers fans. But when Lynn reached out, it was, like I said, he was kind of always like, he kind of introduced me to the Tigers in a big way with his writing, and it was hard to pass that up.
Yeah, that's cool. I got to ask. So, and Alex, I'll let you talk, but I have a serious question to ask. They always say that watching Miguel Cabrera take batting practice makes you a better hitter. Does being associated with Lynn give you like 10 times the vocabulary and the flowery poetic language as you already have? Is that how that works?
Yes, yeah. He obviously takes a look at stuff before it goes online, and just seeing his edits, you learn so much just from that. And my mom subscribes, and she's not a huge Tigers fan by any means, but I think that like anyone can appreciate Lynn's way with words, and his content is great. So yeah, it's been pretty eye-opening in the best way.
That's awesome. You guys have to check it out. Listeners, Joe and Lynn do a tremendous job. Obviously, the guys at Tigers Minor League Report, as Joe mentioned. Please check it out because they do a tremendous job.
I'll try to throw a link in the show notes.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Link
directly.
We're a sophisticated pod these days. That's right. We're on
Something
YouTube.
like that.
So,
we're
Joe,
on YouTube. Sophisticated.
Let's get right into it. And we're going to get into, I know we prepped you a little bit with some stats, but high-level thoughts of where the season is right now. Skubal injury aside, complete meltdown against the Boston Red Sox, Framber Valdez losing his mind aside. How are your vibes to the season so far?
Yeah, the past couple years have kind of shown that the season is long. And so when the Tigers got off to that rough start, I know that it felt like the vibes were pretty bad, and then they picked things up and got right back on track. And I think there'll be 2 games under 500 after tonight, but I still feel pretty much the same as I did before the year started. Tonight aside, I think that everyone hopes that Skubal will come back, and you just got to kind of stay afloat until he comes back. And it's not going to be easy, but I feel good about the offense. They're 11th in runs scored this year, just the same as they were last year, but it's the way that they're doing it. I think that they're second in the league in chase. They're weighted on base average and their expected weighted on base average are both right around the top 5. So I think that they've gotten a little bit unlucky with some batted ball luck this year, and maybe just the sequences of their hits. But I think that their offense will continue to climb. So I still feel kind of the same way. I was just thinking about earlier that the Will Vest injury is going to hurt if he's not able to come back too. I mean, that is a major blow. To me, he's the most irreplaceable part of the bullpen, so that's going to be tricky. But yeah, I still have high hopes. Just gotta fight through it and kind of hold serve until we can figure out what's going on with the Skubal.
Yeah, definitely. I actually put in my notes somewhere, just need to stay afloat. That was the exact word that came to my mind too. So obviously we need to figure out what to do with the rotation at this point. There are 2 open spots, and once every 5 days, Jack proves that there should be 3 open roster spots. We have guys like Drew Anderson and Manuel De Jesus, all these guys that can go long innings, but we are literally just down to 3 starters at this point. If you were to try to piece this together, what would you have the rotation look like, and kind of where do you think that this inning distribution will go?
Yeah, I actually don't know that the Tigers will feel the need to officially name 2 guys to take those spots. Casey Mize fingers crossed, won't be out too much longer. And Justin Verlander, it sounds like he's going to be might be close to rehab assignment. And then Troy Melton is back on the mound again. And it could be 2, 3, 4 weeks for some of those guys. But I think that the hope is that Mize should be back in the short term. So that would be 4 spots filled. And as you guys mentioned, Jack, it's been a little bit up and down, to say the least. But I think that he, guys can find stuff in between starts, and the hope is his track record isn't this, So, but as far as piecing this together, I think that just like how they operated last night, I think that using openers, they've got a ton of guys that can go long. We mentioned Drew Anderson and Manuel De Jesus. Tyler Holton can go long. Brendan Hannafy can go long. There's other guys that can do it. And then, Ty Madden, I would imagine that he'll be sticking around too. So I think it's actually to the Tigers' advantage to not officially have a starter so that they can play the matchups, keep the opposing manager on their toes. So I don't necessarily feel the need to fill it, but if Justin Verlander and Troy Melton are going to be out for longer than what they're projected, then you might have to rethink that strategy.
Sure.
Alex, before I let you jump in, What did you see from Ty Madden at Toledo? Like, I was pretty dumbfounded by what he did last night. We're recording this on Tuesday. Of all of the range of outcomes from that appearance, that was not one that I thought was in it. What have you seen from him down on the farm? And then, like, what did you see from him last night? Like, is there anything sustainable about what he did? Even if you have to lie to us, I don't care.
Yeah, I think that all of us could use some good news after the past 2 days. But I was checking out some of his work in Toledo, and I think last night he was up about 1.5 miles on miles per hour on almost all of his pitches, and some even more than that. And he missed all of last year, and it's tough to come back from that. And the spring he was not knocking the rust off, and I think that he was knocking the rust off this down in Toledo too. But it seemed like something kind of clicked for him last night. Every pitcher fastball command is very important, and he was still spraying the fastball a little bit, but luckily for him, his cutter and slider were almost unhittable at times. And I still like his splitter too. He just picked it up a couple years ago, I'm pretty sure, and it had a big whiff rate in 2024. So I liked what I saw, and I think that they'll keep him around because they don't want to mess around like they did last year and option a guy out and kind of get cute with it and then kind of get stuck like they did with Brennan Hanafy a few times. And they just don't have anyone down there that can replace him right now. I was checking it out, and Sawyer Gibson-Long is hurt right now, so he's not an option. Brian Salmons pitched for Detroit a few years ago, but he's kind of been pretty up and down this year. Troy Watson was another guy that people maybe thought could help this year, but he's coming back from an injury too, and he's still pitching in West Michigan, building back up. So they don't have anyone to have the luxury of setting Madden down since he just threw to kind of backfill those innings, because there's not really you could get stuck losing him for I can't remember if it's 10 or 15 days, but either way they can't go that amount of time without him right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's dire straits with the injuries right now, and just the way that you're talking, I can't imagine there's even anyone in Erie that you could say would come up. And correct me if I'm wrong. We always like to say buy low on some of these guys. Like, is anybody going to be a Kenny Serwa guy, the knuckleballer, or buy low on Joseph Montalvo stock? But if there was one name in Erie that intrigues you that we might see sooner than later, is there one name you could give us?
Yeah, the tough part about Erie is that their rotation is pretty decimated too. Jaden Ham is out. Jake Miller should be there, but Jake Miller I think will eventually be there, but he's still he's not on a rehab assignment even yet. And Andrew Sears is out too. Those were kind of the three guys that I thought could potentially help Detroit later in the year, but it's hard to say how long they're going to be out. So I was taking a look at Erie, and Joe Miller had kind of popped this spring a little bit. He was throwing a lot harder, but he's not. He's been up and down this year. And the one guy that is pitching well for Erie is Carlos Pena, but he's kind of like a soft tossing lefty that I think that in his start in AAA he was averaging right around 90, and the Tigers have kind of bounced him up and down between AA and AAA. So it's hard to know how much faith the organization has in him, but he's like the one healthy starter that you would see if there was an emergency situation. You almost wonder if it would be him.
It's crazy.
So
we're going to end up with Charlie Morton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little positive, Joe. I had sent you kind of in our prep session. I guess we can go positive and negative, or negative and positive, however you want to do it. Some underlying numbers that are encouraging to you right now that could signal, at least on the big league club, there's good things coming yet. Yeah,
I kind of touched on the offense a little bit later. I'm really encouraged by their chase rate going down. The strikeouts last year, and it wasn't even necessarily the strikeouts themselves. It was a lot of the chase, and I was checking out Statcast, and I think that they've had the biggest or the biggest negative drop in chase rate from 2025 to 2026 at like 1.9%, and the next closest team is less than half of that. So I think that that's really encouraging for the offense. And I was checking out Dylan Dingler's numbers earlier, and he has the fourth highest gap between his weighted on base average and his expected weighted on base average, which means to me that he's been getting extremely unlucky this year, and he's still, I believe that he's still has the third highest WAR of any catcher in the league. So, once some of those hard hit balls start dropping in, I think that his numbers will improve even more. And his walk rate has been down, but in the minor leagues it was always pretty good. So you wonder if that could go up even further. So I think that the offense is encouraging to me. Dylan Dingler is encouraging to me, and the fact that I think that there could be even more there. And on the negative side, I keep going back to the bullpen. They are 17th in strikeout rate, 18th in walk rate, and 19th in strikeout minus walk rate. So it's like, if you're not striking guys out and you're walking guys, it's just that's not a recipe for success, not only throughout the year but in the postseason as well. But I still think that Kenley Jansen and Tyler Holton I think that they'll figure it out. The Tigers need them to. And the bullpen, it's going to look way different in September. Troy Melton could be there if he's not needed in the rotation. Jackson Jobe might be there. And hopefully Will Vest will be back. So it's kind of a similar story to the rotations. Like, if they can hold serve, and if the Tigers can still be competitive by the time some of these guys get back, that's going to be what everyone's going to be, wondering.
What do you put I want to go back to the positives, to the chase rate. What do you put that down to? Obviously, we make many jokes on this show about dominating the strike zone being the ethos from the top. Obviously, you got guys like McGonigal coming up, and an improvement from some of the other guys. What do you put that down to? Why they've been able to be so much more successful in cutting that chase rate this year than anyone else?
Yeah, Kevin McGonigal is like a metronome to me. Like, he just never... He almost never chases, and it's like he is just locked in on every single at bat, and he's probably the most impressive. He is the most impressive prospect that I've ever seen, and for the Tigers at least. And we lived through Miguel Cabrera's tenure with the Tigers, and that was incredible. And I think that he's a better true hitter than Kevin McGonigal is, but I think that McGonigal's plate discipline is better and his swing decisions are better. So I think that the sky's the limit for him. So he helps with the chase rate. I think that Riley Green made a pretty concerted effort to cut down on his chase, and he's cut it way down too. And I think that I'm sure that they emphasize that this off season. And having McGonigal and Glaber, I know that Glaber's kind of been. It's like something has to still be going on with his side, you would imagine, just because he's not pulling the ball for power at all, but he is still putting up good at-bats. And when your 1 and 2 or your 2 and 3 hitters are putting up at-bats like that, I think it does have a trickle-down effect on everyone else. And clearly they made it a point of emphasis, and I think it's helping a lot this year.
I keep going back to what you mentioned about Dylan Dingler. I mean, if we can get even more out of him with the season he's having right now, I mean, that gets me excited.
Yeah, and the Tigers, just like Dylan Dingler, I think that the Tigers have the third highest gap between their weighted on base average and their expected weighted on base average. And I'm sure that you guys have seen too, people posting on Twitter about the Tigers having like the highest amount of like furthest hit balls that have been converted into outs. I think they've gotten pretty unlucky this year. We saw that a lot at the beginning of the year, guys just missing a home run by 1 foot, so I think that in baseball that usually does even out over the course of the year, and that's why I do think that the offense, not only could they crack top 10, but maybe even get it higher than that.
Before we move on, I do want to circle back on Riley. You mentioned him. We spent a decent amount of time talking about him on the show last week and how it's kind of that he's reached the point where he is the slugger that we wanted. Like, it's still driving the ball. His OPS is higher than it was last year, but the chase and the strikeouts are down pretty substantially. From a more whole look at the player, I maybe trust your evaluation lens a little bit more than I do ours. What are you seeing from him? Like, are we kind of on the right track where he is kind of starting to walk that tightrope between being not just selling out for power and not being a high average guy, like kind of finding what we eventually wanted from him?
Yeah, you wonder if during the course of the year that emphasis on power and contact will it almost feels like it went from him fully emphasizing power to now it's more about finding the barrel but not chasing. But to me, Riley Green to me is like in the top 10% of pure MLB hitters. The way that he's able to manipulate the barrel and his ability to barrel the ball up, it's been a matter of the swing and miss for him for kind of since he started. But I think that he if he can keep this approach, I think that he will find a way to start hitting more home runs as well. And if he's able to keep this same approach and start to hit for more power, I think that some people were mentioning him as, maybe like a top 10 MVP candidate this year. And I could see that because he really is a great hitter. It's just he's had some swing and miss. But if he's able to knock that down, I think that the sky's the limit for him.
I sure hope so, too.
Yeah.
Another guy that we're all quite excited about, Max Clark down in Toledo. But over the last 15 days or so, there's been quite the swoon. Cold at the plate, he's hitting 128 with a 227 on base and a 381 OPS, Joe. What are you seeing in Max Clark and the adversity he's facing right now? Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I wonder if it would help if he would take off a chain or two. I think what it is that the league is just adjusting back to him. We see it all the time. Guys get off to a strong start, and then the league adjusts, and then they have to adjust back. And I think that he's on that line right now. I was checking out some of his numbers too, and his strikeout rate is still like somewhere around 15%, which is great, but they've kind of started to pile up over the past 10, 12 days. But he's still not chasing much. He's still not whiffing much. I really think it's just the fact that he's facing guys that have big league experience, kind of for the first time outside of spring training. And he's also, I think he's 5 years younger than league average in AAA. Like, it's easy to forget how young these guys really are. And he was in the same draft class as McGonigal, which makes McGonigal even more impressive. But I think that Max Clark is several months younger than him too. So he's like if he is 21, which I believe he is, he's a very young 21. I believe his birthday is in December because mine is too. I think that's right. But he, I think it's just the league adjusting to him. It's like we see all the time. He just needs to figure out a way to adjust back. And based on his plate discipline, his talent, sounds like he has good makeup. He's a hard worker. I think that he will. He just needs a little time.
I feel like I don't even necessarily worry about the strikeouts like piling up right now. Surely that is just him pressing a little bit. Like, he definitely strikes me as the kind of kid that, like, I'm going to swing through this and hit the ball so hard to break out of this slump. And I have no doubts that eventually he will probably, and it'll probably be pretty spectacular.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Another name people are quite excited about, Bryce Rayner. Jordan has anointed him as the next Alex Rodriguez. Listeners of the show
I'm
would
a
know
little
that.
premature there. Whatever. I stand by it.
All of that said, we are certainly excited for the kid, but there's been a lot said about some loud hands, the strikeout rate now there in West Michigan. So how has he looked to you since the promotion?
Yeah, I was thinking about him earlier, and I think that before the draft, people were saying that he made a pretty significant swing change in 2024, his senior year. And he looked great last year before he got hurt. He was hitting the ball as hard as anyone or harder. He was putting up great numbers. He looked good. He wasn't chasing much. But that injury, I can't imagine what it is for a hitter to suffer an injury like that, and then it's a grueling rehab, and then you start to get back into swinging, and it's kind of hard to figure out. You almost have to relearn how to swing, and it seems to me that he has made a swing change this year. I even saw someone posted a training video of his over the winter that's on YouTube that's like 20 minutes long, and it kind of takes you into what the purpose of those changes were, but. I can't say that I 100% love the swing changes, and you wonder how much it is due to injury. But I just think he's knocking the rust off after a really really long layoff. He changed his swing. He messed up his shoulder. He changed his swing again. He's in high A now, which is the highest level of competition he's ever seen. So I think some strikeouts and some struggles are to be expected. I'm not super worried about him or anything like that. His tools are incredible. I think that he's going to have to lock in the swing, and I think that he will lock it in over the course of the summer.
So I'm looking at his line for this year. It appears that since moving up to West Michigan, he has on his ground ball or ground out to air out. He is 8 times more likely to ground out than put the ball in the air. Pounding into the ground is a problem, as we've seen from Riley over the years. That being said, Riley did end up figuring it out.
Yeah. I think that he went 3 for 5 the other day, and at least 2 of them were infield singles. That's obviously not a great recipe for success. But like you said, Riley figured it out, and that wasn't a major issue for him in 2025. I think it's just getting used to the new, getting used to a new level. I think it's a small sample, but we'll just something to keep an eye on. And that's a great find. That's not a great recipe for success.
It's not ideal. One of the names that we've heard rumbling, especially from the Tigers minor league report guys, and if they say a name, typically I listen. Kelvis Salcedo. This is a guy that appeared to be coming back from injuries, made 2 appearances for Lakeland, is just striking everybody out. I feel like, especially when you watch the Tigers bullpen, and you said that they were 18th in strikeouts, which even that was like, man, I'm surprised it's that high.
Yeah.
Over 5 innings, he has 10 strikeouts. Just water. What's the phrase? Music to my ears. Whatever. You know the phrase. What have you seen from him, and what's the ceiling here? Reliever, starter? Kind of give us some background on Kelvis here.
Yeah, he popped onto my radar last year, and as usual, Tigers minor league report was early on him. I think that people think that he has some reliever risk. He's not a huge guy, but he's as far as tall, but he's fairly bulky, and his he looks a little bit more relieverish to me, but. What 20-year-old doesn't have reliever risk, and his command to me seems just fine and actually advanced for his age, and his stuff is good. I think that his fastball might be actually his worst pitch. He has a wipeout changeup. He's got a great cutter and a great slider. That all three of those get a lot of whiffs and are high spin pitches outside of the changeup. But I like him a lot. He might be their number one pitching prospect by the end of the year if he's not already. So we'll see how it goes. I think that the hope is that he'll be up in West Michigan, not too long from now. And once you get to high A, and if you start performing well, we saw a few guys skip, go up 2 levels in a year last year. So you never know. But I don't think that he's, of course, any sort of option for this year. But you never know about next year.
I love it. Joe, we don't want to take too much of your time. We certainly appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. Anything that you wanted to wrap with us about? Or add to the show?
No, I just like I said, I really appreciate you guys having me on. Big fan of your podcast. Big fan of your of your stuff online. So thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you, Joe. And listeners, please follow Joe_Rampe, Rampe. He's got some incredible stuff out there. He's a great follow. And Joe, we'd love to have you on again sometime.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you guys so much.
Listeners, that was Joe Rampe. I want to thank Joe again for the time. Fantastic conversation, and we will have him on again soon. Please, as we've mentioned probably a few times now, go give him a follow on the Twitter sphere at Joe_Rampe, Rampe. Jordan, you ready to give away some Tiger King crowns for this week?
I am. And I want to preface mine by saying I think we might have the same, as I was recently informed that you have become a full believer in this man, and his name is Brant Herter. He threw more innings this week than any starter, and he was used, I believe, 3 times as much as any other reliever. 7 innings pitched, no earned runs, 2 hits, 1 walk, 5 Ks. For a guy that wasn't necessarily a super high prospect, a guy that has been pitching in a million different roles. He has been the rock of this bullpen, which is not a sentence I thought I would say this year. But, Brant Herter is probably the key piece in the bullpen right now. And for that reason, he gets my Tiger King crown. How about you?
That is a great choice. And I am certainly becoming a Brant Herter guy, Jordan. But I'm going to dissent from you just a little bit.
All right.
I'm going to give it to the man we just spoke about, Ty Madden. Ty Madden gets my crown. Frankly, just because I did not see it coming at all. When I saw that he was going to get the bulk innings, I was like, okay, probably chalk this one up as a loss. And it was ultimately, but not for a lack of an outstanding inning from Ty Madden. Mention the numbers, but that's great. And you got to give flowers when flowers are due. You knew how that had to feel good for Ty Madden, having some mixed results in his brief major league stint, having the injury, working all the way back, and a year and a half later, getting back to the major leagues and having that be your debut in 2026. You couldn't have written any better.
Yeah, love to see that.
All right, let's update the standings here. We've got Cater Montero still leader in the clubhouse with 2, Brant Herter with 1, Ty Madden with 1, Hao Yu Lee 1, Spencer Torkelson 1, Jemai Jones 1, Colt Keith 1, Kevin McGonigal 1, Connor Siebold 1, listener Travis 1. Probably the last time I will run through that, knowing the list is getting a little bit long. But listeners, hope you are keeping tabs at home and giving away your own crown as we go along.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, weekly preview time. Let me pull up the schedule here. So they finish with Boston, and then they go to Kauffman against the Kansas City Royals for 3 games, Jordan, that all start in the 7 o'clock hour. Friday the 8th, 7:40 p.m. first pitch. Saturday the 9th, 7:10. And then Sunday the 10th, Mother's Day. Don't forget to get your mom or your wife or your grandmother or, just the special woman in your life something very nice. A 7:20 first pitch on Sunday Night Baseball. Jordan, let's talk the next 3. What is your prediction for the Royal Series?
I don't know. Vibes are so low. I think the vibes will return, but they're pretty low right now. I'm gonna go 1-2. Hopefully, we grind out one of them. I think we are in serious just stay afloat time. just don't get swept. Just get what you can, and let things start to even out a little bit. So I'm going to go 1 and 2. Talk me off the ledge here. Give me something better.
I wish I could, Jordan. I think they get swept. I think they get swept in Kaufman.
That's the wrong direction.
They swept the Royals the last time the Royals were in town, and a few of those were come from behind wins. And I think the Royals are going to have a little bit of bad taste in their mouth. And I do think it might get a little bit worse before it gets better. Hopefully they can take one from Boston. But give me, unfortunately, 0-3 on the weekend series, and then they rebound a little bit as they head out to New York to play the floundering Mets, might I say.
Yeah, that's good. Although, watch, it'll be just our luck. They start to turn it around as we get there. But
that would happen.
Yeah, you get who you get when you get them.
So we talked quite a bit with Joe, so we're not going to go down on the farm this week. You ready to get into some listener questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
So Aaron Caverly wants to know, he said, if you took just our injured starters, where does that rotation rank lead wide? So our injured starters right now, Tarik Skubal, Casey Mize, Reese Olson, Jackson Jobe, Troy Melton, Justin Verlander, Sawyer Gibson Long. You have here, you're not supposed to be able to fill out a rotation plus options, but what are your thoughts, Jordan? I think that is a top 10 rotation in all of baseball.
I mean, that's a filthy rotation. It'd be great to have some of those guys. Yeah, I mean, truly, if you believe in the potential of Melton and Jobe, I mean, it's hard to beat that. Audibly saying the word sigh.
That would be pretty good. Tommy Greer, he says, it's time to hit the ejecto seat O button on the season. He said he's so sad we have possibly seen our last Scoob Day. What is our record over the next 30 days?
Well, first of all, Tommy, let's not think that way yet. I don't know that we need to. We discussed this earlier. I don't know that we need to get there. If it is, then we'll be sad in September, not now, but let's not think that way. That being said, I would be thrilled if in the next 30 games we win 15. Go 15-15. That is an excellent next 30. How about you?
Let's assume that they're playing 30 games in 30 days. Or no, the question, I'm sorry, is 30 games. I'm going to say they're going to go like 13-17. And then
that seems more likely.
Then I think they're going to even out, go on a little bit of a hot streak, and ultimately come out in the wash right around 500. But yeah, I like I said, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better right now.
What if we did a reverse of last year? What if we were kind of meh until the All-Star break, and then we just lit the world on fire? Could that happen?
Jordan, I think that is the most likely scenario in my mind. Like I think they're gonna be annoying to watch for a while. And then it's going to be all gas, no brakes once they get some of these guys back. And we are going to see this team take off. At least that's what I'm hoping.
Verbal contract. That's not what has to happen.
I sure hope so. Litzner on Twitter, he wants to know, if McGonigal continues his hitting ways, what is the over-under 2.5 MVP votes at season's end? He's asking us, is it over or under 2.5 MVP votes?
I'm going to go over. I mean, it feels like he's kind of on pace for like a high 8, 9, 10 WAR season. Surely that gets you in the running. I mean, it's not like he's a liability defensively. Like he does everything. And I also think that voters like to reward kind of new on the scene guys. Like they don't like to vote for the same guy over and over. So yeah, I think he gets over that. How about you?
I think he gets double that number. I think he get up to 5 or more. And I'm totally with you. So slam the over if that is not a betting pod, but if it is available somewhere, take the over. And finally, Jeremy Sherrill on Twitter, he wants to know, is it time to make a change at third base coach? He is putting Joey Cora on blast.
Yeah. I don't think so. I know we've had a couple guys get hosed recently, but I don't know. I feel like from a at home viewer's perspective, like it's hard to see the entire play develop, to like properly evaluate base coaches. If he was gone tomorrow, I don't think I would shed a tear or even particularly notice. If he stayed for the next 5 years, I don't think I would particularly notice either. I don't know. just not too awfully fussed. How about you?
I think I responded to Jeremy with my thoughts. I think it's much more about the Tigers' base running philosophy than one individual third base coach. They are a very aggressive base running team. They're going to try to take the extra base whenever they can, and they're going to run into a lot of outs doing it. I know it's easy to kind of poke fun at Joey Cora with his windmill motion, and I do think sometimes there are some bad sends, like he sends some of these guys when they're in like 7th grade. But it's ultimately, I think it's a net positive in terms of the runs that they squeak out by being aggressive. It's just way more memorable when they get thrown out, and it's a pretty easy throw out than when they don't. But I think if you were to shake it loose at the end of the season, they would have more runs because of the aggressive base running than less.
Yeah, I would always default to make the defense make a play, because fielding the ball cleanly, picking it up, throwing on target to either the cutoff man or through into the tag zone to make a good tag is very difficult. Like it just is. And making the defense do that repeatedly will, as you say, pay off more times than it doesn't. So, yeah.
That's right. Jordan, that is it for listener questions this week. Anything for the good of the order before we sign off here?
I don't think so. Just want to shout out Joe again. I really, really appreciate him coming on. Somebody we both really enjoy on Twitter, and he was a lot of fun to talk to. It's kind of one of the nice things about Tiger fandom and content creation is basically everybody that we've met has been really cool and fun to be around, and Joe's just another one like that. So glad to get to know him a little bit, and it was enjoyable. Hope you guys liked it too.
It was. Thank you, Joe. It's just we love to elevate people in the space. Like you and I, Jordan, we always like to say we're not baseball analysts, we're fans, and we are humbled enough that you guys like to listen to us. So if we have an opportunity to highlight somebody else who's doing some really cool things just for the love of the game, like we are, like we don't get paid to do this podcast yet. If you want to be a sponsor, but
it is possible.
It's cool.
And I would say Joe's a heck of a lot closer to an analyst than either of us are. Yeah, he's got a good eye for it.
Amen. I did want to point out, Jordan, we got a shout out from Luke on Blue Sky. He said no questions this week. Just appreciate you guys bringing the content every week. Double so for Jordan rocking the Mudhens hat last week.
Thanks. That was a new one from the game last week. So appreciate you, Joe. What was his name?
Luke.
Appreciate you, Luke.
Well, thank you guys again for listening. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Jordan. Here's our spiel. You can follow along. We are on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe when you're there. If you want to see us chatting through the episode, you want to see Joe breaking it down, you can definitely catch that episode. If you're just an audio person, catch us on all of your favorite streaming platforms. New episodes every Wednesday. Follow along on the socials. We have a lot of fun at Eat 'em Up Pod. You can follow Jordan at Hosted by Jay Hall. You can follow me at AUrban91. If you could be kind enough to leave us a 5-star review, we're trying to spread the word about this podcast. Text it to a friend, give us a review, tell us what you like about the show. As always, we are eatumuppod@gmail.com. If you have any suggestions for show topics, you want to give us some listener feedback, you want to recommend a guest, we're open to that as well. So thank you guys again. On behalf of Jordan Hall, I'm Alex Urban. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.